This party's over.
Ladies and gentlemen of the tribe, welcome back to another Galaxy of Heroes video with me, your boy Scribe. I sacrificed my very first round of GAC in order to get some testing done against the Stranger, and as you just seen, we've found a couple of counters. I would like to share that information with you, and I will give a couple of caveats about this one because it's not going to be a case of, hey, this is going to work every single time against every single combat, every single datacron, and everything. It's just going to be, hey, this might work for you. Give it a try. There is no denying that the Stranger is dominating the holotables right now. He is an absolute unit of a team. Really phenomenal. However, there is no such thing as an unbeatable team. It doesn't exist. So my dear friend over here, Mr. Saber, we matched up in GAC and he messaged me and he's saying, hey, Scribbles, you want to do some testing versus the Stranger? And I thought, he's a good egg. He's a good egg. So we thought, yes. He requested I set mine on defense for him to do some testing against, and I then didn't set any sort of defense so that he could find some solutions as well. 29 battles. Now, obviously, these battles are not legit drops. We were deliberately making sure that we didn't finish these battles in order to keep testing. And we did find some really cool stuff. So the first caveat that I want to give is the team here is only one of many variations of teams that we can see for the Stranger. And honestly, I do not think that this team here, this setup, is the ideal setup. From my experience and what I'm seeing online, the best setups tend to involve both OG Cal Kestis and Barriss Offee. That counter requires different setups to beat. So my footage that I'm giving you today is exclusively against this team because obviously I can't test different variations. I've got one account, but I will happily take any suggestions from you guys in the comments down below if you have got anything for me that is good, okay? Anything, different variations, different team comps, different datacrons. So going forward, let's check it out. We've got a triple Omicron Relic 8 Stranger, triple Omicron Relic 8 Starkiller, R7 Maul, R7 Visas, R8 on the GK. The datacron that he was using was a speed up on basic, basically, Attackacron with the wordy Attackacron that does phenomenal stuff, and then 113% health, so like a perfect rolled health datacron over here, and that is going to play into a lot of things. So for example, Maul is going to be ramping offense based on his max health when he takes turns and takes damage to himself, but also Starkiller, when he uses his cooldown, is going to cause absolute mayhem and destruction. So the comp with Visas and GK, that just helps with a little bit of survivability. Honestly, I think this is okay when you're using it for offense, so you don't waste Visas' turns, you use the correct order with GK, but generally speaking, like I said, the Cal Kestis and then Barriss, I feel is better overall on defense. So let's talk about the first valuable counter that we found, and this is probably the cheapest counter that you'll find in terms of team comps, no GLs. Actually, none of the teams that I'm going to show you today are Galactic Legend teams. All right, they're all, you know, legendary units, or they're going to be marquee units and maybe conquest units. All right. Okay, so this was the first team that we tested, and I feel like this should be a go-to, particularly for this setup. So I'm using relatively low relic characters over here, 3, 5, 5, and 5, and then we've got relic 9 on the Merrin. My idea behind this one was, hey, maybe if we can get Plague out, we can get turn meter loops, maybe lose a unit, we can get into a basic TM train opportunity. Stranger seems to deal very badly with teams that loop TM. Now, it is vitally important that you actually have a healer-cron on this, because that means whenever your support units take a turn, you are then going to apply heal immunity on them for 2 turns. It stops them from being able to do stuff. The reason I liked this one so much is it felt like it was easy. You've got zombie in there for survivability, and the only reason we lost this battle is because I was deliberately not trying to pass Plague. So you can see how quickly Plague is stacking up over there on GK. I'm just doing basics here. If I'd have done stuns or specials, any sort of specials, it would have passed additional Plague, and that would have made this a complete walk. If I'd have cleansed over here, for example, oh, well, I did cleanse over here. If I'd have just kept on going like this, I think it would have been fine. If I'd have done a mass assist over here targeting Starkiller, I think we probably would have defeated him straight away. Now, I've heard that versus Barriss comps, this doesn't work quite as well because Barriss is constantly, able to gain an additional turn meter and is then able to equalize health, which will work even if you've got heal immunity, but it won't actually get rid of the plague. So you can see we easily took out GK over there. Very easily took out GK. And then I'm actually worried at this point. I'm thinking, well, I've got no way of shutting down the game. I don't want them to take a turn and then just die from all the plague that they've got. It also comes into play that plague does damage based on your max health, and this guy's got boatloads of max health. So it's making this counter even more valuable simply because they have so much max health. If they'd have gone for like armor pen and crit damage on the Datacron, I think it might have been different. Again, here, I could have done the mass assist, right? Could have done the mass assist, or I could have done the AoE to spread more plague, but I was genuinely just too concerned that they were going to take turns and they were going to die. 9 stacks of plague is basically all of your health. And if I'd have done a mass assist over here, we would have added so much more plague that it wouldn't even have been close. I do think that when it comes to taking out the Stranger comps, you really, really got to go ahead and focus on Starkiller as a priority. He is more important to kill early on than the Stranger, particularly if they've got that high max health, because if he gets to his ultimate, he can just clear the board. He can clear the board if they've got 100% additional max health, maybe if they've got any other additional health modding and that sort of thing, especially if Maul gets a turn, because Starkiller will hit his ultimate cooldown incredibly quickly. So over here, I'm focusing down the Stranger with Night Sisters. Shouldn't do it. Shouldn't do it. He's got that undispellable retribution. You should really just go after Starkiller, take out Starkiller. Visas won't be able to actually revive him because of that locked heal immunity. She needs to have full health in order to revive. So over here, once again, I don't think we do the AoE, we just do a basic. There's no reason for me to actually attack Visas Mar. Should really be going after Stranger over here, but we're just, not Stranger, sorry, Starkiller. See, even that one AoE, he didn't even get to the ultimate there and blew it down. Now, firmly believe, Night Sisters, I've had this confirmed in people's chats that have messaged me directly. Night Sisters can certainly beat it. They sometimes struggle with variations that use Barriss, just because of the extra healing and TM. Okay, so keep that in mind. Next up, we did try using a Malgus team. This one does not particularly work, at least not in my experience. I was hoping that a Malgus team with 100% plus max health was going to do enough damage with his AoE to take out a unit at a time. Unfortunately, that doesn't seem to be the case. Malgus tends to actually just fall flat against Starkiller, against Stranger in particular. Again, we need to really be trying to focus down on Starkiller. This was early on in the testing where we were finding stuff out. We nearly took out the Stranger there, which was close, but the fact that he gains that bonus turn and all that sort of business just makes it so much harder to take him out. I do feel it feels really counterintuitive, but don't go straight for Stranger. At least not in this case. If you've got an insta-kill like JMK Cat, you could probably just get rid of Stranger straight away, right? But if you don't, I do feel like it is much safer to just go for Starkiller, because if you can get rid of some of his benefits, you can see over there we took him out once, but then there's Visas Mar in the background, and she's going to cause us some issues, because as soon as she heals up, she's going to revive Stranger, and then you're just back to square one. Now, of course, if you did have some means of controlling her or making sure she's not at full health, then it's a little bit easier, but as soon as Starkiller hits that cooldown, it's kind of game over. He gets the full heal, he does masses of AoE damage, and you just can't seem to recover. So over here, I think I take out Visas. You could probably, or I could take out Maul. You could probably, oh no, because we had Ferocity, the debuff, Starkiller obviously has reduced damage, and that actually affects things like a life drain, which would normally just one-shot them all. Reduced it by 50% so that we couldn't actually full kill him. But there's definitely hope for this team, I feel, but you just have to go about it the right way. Maybe targeting down Starkiller first, or maybe making sure Visas can't get that revive is going to be of importance over here. So it looks like we do get rid of them all, or we should get rid of them all. Yeah, there we go. So you could lock that in. Oh my god, she got a revive again. She's just resetting all her cooldowns all the time. Does make her a little bit of a pain in the bum. So it's not that this comp is terrible, it just has a few more counters. This one in particular didn't seem to do particularly well, might have done better with a different setup. People kept asking me for an Utini bomb, so we set up the Jawas with the Jawa FDC. I didn't really have a whole lot of faith for this, especially because I have low relic Jawas, can't even activate the final tier because my Jawas are 3. And as you can see, it didn't really work, surprisingly, even Maul over there doing all those attacks, not really getting enough damage on the board. Now, of course, I will say all this testing is going to not be null and void, but we're going to have to do it again once we have Spiderlegs Maul in the game, because that's going to replace Maul. Next up, we go for a Mars team over here, standard Mars team, and I'm using a Helicron, I believe, over here. Now, I don't know what it was about this, but we just did not get a single turn. We didn't get a single turn. Well, I mean, obviously we are actually getting turns, but nothing here felt like we were doing anything meaningful, you know? It was just Stranger was just taking turn after turn. He was just constantly going. Couldn't find a single moment to actually do anything over here. So Quiggled, who is a very good tank, was doing his work, but as soon as Starkiller hits that cooldown, once Maul has taken a couple of turns, he's got that ultimate, and you don't get to do anything. So maybe if you've got something with a TM boost, Datacron, I'm not sure. It didn't work very well for me. Next up, we decided to go in with Imperial Troopers using a support Cron. This one definitely has some hope, but definitely not against a Barriss Cron, okay? And the reason this was good was because we could constantly TM loop the enemy team. And that was really, really useful. I decided to take out Visas Mar at the start because I thought that should be a good way to make sure that they can't get any revives off. The problem with this comp is GK is actually really, really frustrating in this setup, in a Stranger team, particularly versus Imperial Troopers, because they're gaining bonus turns. He's actually himself gaining bonus turns, constantly cleansing, because whenever we attack at the same time twice against a character, he is going to gain a bonus turn. So he's constantly cleansing over there, and there's nothing that you can do about it. So they're constantly getting stuff like cleanses, they're constantly gaining foresight, they're gaining crit hit immunity, and it just kind of shuts down the TM loop that we were hoping for. So there's definitely feels like there's an opportunity here, but certainly not against Barriss, because they'd constantly be critting, she'd constantly be gaining turn meter, and then she'd be gaining cleanses on the team. But maybe, is all I could say, maybe a cleanup versus Stranger, you could use your Imperial Troopers. I just found this to be quite a difficult counter all in all. I wanted to try and get rid of GK so they would stop having all the cleanses and the retribution, and sometimes it felt like we were going to get it. But as you can see, once you've lost a couple of stacks from Dark Trooper, it kind of falls off just a little bit. In the end, we just couldn't quite manage to get rid of that Kenobi, even though he was on really low health here. I was like, yeah, let's try it one more time, and we just couldn't get it. Eventually got rid of him, but by this point, it's kind of too late. So there's a little bit of hope for this team, but only particular comps, I feel. I'd heard some people had some luck using a Traya comp. So I went in with the standard Traya comp, a low relic Darth Scion, and the Rex FDC. The reason I used the Rex FDC was because it has such good benefits for Stranger. Unfortunately, I could not get the ball rolling on this at all. The enemy was just taking too many turns. I never got an opportunity really to take advantage of my Nihilus. But it does feel like this has an opportunity somewhere. I was hoping we'd get the kill there on Starkiller. Not quite again. It's like, it feels so close sometimes. It feels like you're on the precipice. Maybe if I had a couple more relic levels, or they didn't have so much max health, it might have made a difference for us, but I'm uncertain on that. Got ourselves held by hatred. Unfortunately, didn't get the bonus turn in time. For some reason, our Savage took a turn there. But as soon as Starkiller calls it down, it's just like, uh-oh. It's just so much damage from Starkiller when he does that if he's got 100% bonus health. It does make me feel like I should be trying to remod the Stranger team to have, you know, more and more health, particularly on Starkiller. Lots of speed, lots of max health, and max health on the Datacron, because it does do crazy, crazy stuff. I think there is still hope for Traya, but for me, I wouldn't call it a hard counter. We did, of course, have to test to make sure that Darth Bane is still the king of conquest units, and he kind of is. So I'm going in here with a Bane Vader setup using a Darth Vader FDC, and on my Darth Vader FDC, I've got lots of armor penetration and crit damage, not max health. You don't need it. The reason I went for As you can see, Bane just destroys. Bane just absolutely destroys. The reason I went out for a Vader Cron over here is because if Darth Bane is the last unit alive, Stranger can just insta-kill him with his first special, and I didn't want to run the risk of letting Stranger just one-tap Bane after they've gotten rid of the ad. So I went in with a Vader, and obviously Vader can't die as long as Bane is alive. That gives you a lot more safety and security. So over here I'm just testing to make sure, are we looking pretty safe? And I'd say yes, very, very safe, because as soon as Bane takes another turn over here, we know we can just AoE the board and everybody will die. So at this point, I hadn't worked out how to airplane mode the PC client. Later on, we do find it, because I was a little bit reluctant, should we say, to use the special from Bane, because I was too afraid that I was going to defeat something. As you can see, Bane over here, granted he is Relic 9, was able to tank the hit. So over here, I was umming and ahhing, do I use this AoE? They've got quite a few buffs. There's a lot of armor penetration, a lot of crit damage on my Datacron. I feel like I am going to one-shot, and I don't want to do that and lose the rest of my testing. So I'll skip ahead because we ummed and ahed for a long time. People were also saying, oh, but don't worry about it because there's damage immunity on Kenobi. The special dispels the damage immunity, so everybody's going to die. Anyway, so I decided I would just close down the app if we actually do kill people, or if we do actually win the battle. So I was playing it nice and cautious. We do that first special on a one-time speed because we want to make sure that we've got as much time as possible to judge whether or not we can defeat everybody. And as you can see, that big AoE there just clears the board. 975,000 damage out of that Bane. 1,058,000 versus GK. Yeah, Bane still absolutely destroys. I feel like this is a safe version of this counter, simply because they can't kill Vader as long as Bane is alive. And that way they can't insta-kill Bane after the fact, because Bane is not immune to insta-kills. Anyway, great counter there, Bane Vader. Next up, we go in with the Inquisitorius using a Helicron. I heard a lot of people had good luck with this one. It didn't quite work out so well for me, but I can see how it can work versus certain comps. Now, I've heard people say they just use Torture turn 1 to focus on Starkiller. We had GK pre-taunting, so we couldn't actually do that. Then Stranger immediately gets Deathmark, but this is, it feels like the wrong thing to do. It feels like it doesn't actually help you to go after the Stranger. Look, because I mean, he's cleansing that that purge, so we don't get the multiple hits from GI, so we can't get rid of him. So it just felt a little bit awkward. I was like, okay, are we actually going to be able to get rid of Stranger? Because he's got that retribution, he is constantly counterattacking, which is calling Starkiller to assist, which in turn is letting him get to his ultimate, and that's really dangerous. So we did get rid of Stranger, so we know that it is going to be at least a cleanup possibility. But the real threat, to be honest, is if Starkiller goes ahead and hits his ultimate, you will lose everybody. In a scenario like this, with the FDC and a maximum health setup, you know? Not FDC, standard Datacron. So we see we've got Visas Ma. It's not, like, it doesn't actually bother me if she's gone or not, because she can't actually revive a Deathmarked unit. There's no, no anti-revive prevention clause like we see in Satil Shan, right? So I wanted to get over to Starkiller because there's 5 stacks of Seething Rage on Maul, and Starkiller is literally about to drop the bomb. So I'm like, okay, let's try and torture Starkiller. Let's hope that we can get through to him. Not quite, and then he takes the turn and just does his thing, and that is kind of game over for us. It's like, oh my lord. Starkiller is just insane on this team. He has to be the priority unit. So Reva, definitely, but get rid of Starkiller first if you can. Next up, we go in with the greatest of Mamacitas. And I had a lot of hope for this team because I thought revive prevention is one thing, right? The second thing is it just gets rid of protection completely. So that makes life a bit easier. At this point, I think we'd kind of identified that Starkiller is actually the true problem in this team. Starkiller is the real problem. So I'm hoping we actually go all in on Starkiller. Because if you can get rid of him, he's not going to call the house down on you and then just get an AoE stun and wipe the board. So I'm hoping we go for Starkiller. Please tell me I went for Starkiller. Not for Maul. Just go for Starkiller. I was being very indecisive here, as you can tell, Tribe. There we go, we went for Starkiller, happy days. And I went ahead and put the Blessed on Spirit because I wanted to be able to just do, hopefully, one real big hit and take out Starkiller nice and quick, because can't allow him to survive. He nearly died there, and I was like, oh, we're actually getting quite good tankiness over here. I'm quite happy with that. So I'm doing specials here just to call Spirit to assist in the hope that we actually get rid. We nom the Star Killer. We nom him out of existence, which is very, very good. As we said, because of the data, because of Great Mother's doing Doomed, can't revive from that, so I'm not worried about Visas Mar. I'm just now hoping to get rid of Stranger. Stranger is still being a little bit iffy, and for some reason, we still haven't got round to our second... Oh, no, we have got round to the Doomed, sorry. Maul just cleans up house. I was like, oh my gosh. Okay, that's not ideal. That's not ideal. I was hoping, can we maybe still get rid of Stranger at the end here? But not quite. So I do think that there is some hope, maybe with a slightly different comp. Maybe without Maul in the team, it will be a little bit easier. But that marked, that spider legs Maul puts on, may well ruin a Great Mother's counter. Next up, we went for the big one, the big bald man himself, Jedi Master Mace Windu, with an Attack-a-Cron, lots of armor penetration, lots of crit damage. I'm like, get rid of Star Killer. Just get rid of him. And he's gone. I was like, all right, cool. I'm happy. And then we thought, all right, what's coming up next? Well, I'll tell you. Yeah. Let's turn the speed back down to normal over here and let's see that again. So we immediately get rid of the Star Killer. We do the first special on Maul to get rid of the buffs and everything like that. Do some good damage. And then it's just the nice big AoE over here. Boom. 200 plus K. AoE, some extra true damage on Maul thanks to the Attack-a-Cron using specials. I love this. This to me gives me a use for Mace. This gives me a use for Mace because he's not really doing a heck of a lot on defense. So if I've got the opportunity to take out Stranger on offense using Mace, I will. You do need an Attack-a-Cron. I would recommend having an Attack-a-Cron with 25% turn meter on the level 3 and then as much armor pen and crit damage as you can possibly have. I had to close down the game there because I was like, oh, I thought I killed everybody. So I closed down the game to make sure we didn't lose our well, we didn't lock in the progress, even though GK survived. I was like, oh, let's close it down. Later on, we find out how to actually put it on aeroplane mode. But this, to me, is one of the better finds. The Night Sisters, Jedi Master Mace Windu seem really solid counters. Next up, we are using a Finn Zorii setup over here. I've heard good things about this one, and this is one of the better counters, I will say. We're using the FDC from HK, so that OG Poe is putting out that fear at the start. That gives us the breathing space, essentially, to make this team work. The reason this works, once again, is because this is a turn meter generating team. We are looking at turn meter loops constantly with this. I've got the double Omni here. We've got Rose Tico with her Omni, and we've got Zorii Bliss with her Omni as well. So that's going to come into play, and obviously having Poe... These are all Relic 5. All these units are Relic 5 here, so I'm operating at a negative Relic Delta over here, but the enemy can't do a single thing. They can't do a single thing, as you can see over here. I'm deliberately not AoEing because I do not want to get rid of all that fear that's on the board right now. We took out GK, focused down Star Killer like he wasn't even there. Honestly, it was pretty easy. It was pretty easy. Once they're gone, I was like, okay, well, geez, what's next? One tap them all? Okay, I want to see the damage that Zorii does there, because that's kind of nutty. 243,000 damage with an extra 13,000 true damage from an R5 Zorii against an R7 Maul. That's really nothing to sneeze at, is it? So then we just decide to focus on the Stranger. I'm like, I'm not going to do any AoEs, so don't have to worry about, accidentally killing the team. Let's go once again. Boom. Oh, that one only does 46k. Never mind. But as you can see, this wasn't even close. We're like, all right. Cool. Now, I have heard from people in the community that this struggles against a Barriss comp, because Barriss is going to gain passive turn meter and she will be able to cleanse things and heal people up. And if they've got enough health, you might not do enough damage to chew through. So bear that in mind. It might not work versus Barriss comps, and this does use the FDC for HK, which is giving Poe that additional fear at the start and a whole bunch of other stuff. So, take it with a grain of salt. But this looks like a pretty decent counter right now. Next up, we had Bo-Katan, and I can tell you straight away, this team, for me at least, was an absolute nope. We just got controlled into the ground, we barely took a turn, and we just couldn't do any damage to the team. It was an exercise in futility, basically. So I would not say that this is a place for Bo-Katan. Certainly not part of the 2% right now. They just absolutely destroyed me. It wasn't even close. They just took turn after turn after turn. Obviously, Maul doing his thing. Starkiller calls down the ship. It's just like, oh my lord. They've already got Paz down. Paz goes, Bam goes. I was like, perhaps not. Perhaps not today. Just poor little Bo-Katan. Next up was Baylan. We decided, let's give Baylan a test. I went in with Boba Fett and Fennec. The reason I didn't want to use Dengar is because I wanted to test the Boba Fett Cron, but then we accidentally went in with our Boba Fett Cron with this team, so I kind of ruined 2 teams with 1 counter. I don't know if this has some possibility outside. I used the wrong Datacron. I was like, whoops. Poor testing, Scribbles. Poor testing. Another really solid counter. CLS with the Attackacron, lots of crit damage, lots of armor penetration. CLS right now is an absolute monster. You just target down Starkiller at the start. We didn't quite kill him, but as soon as we got round to another turn, it was kind of game over. I was like, oh, okay. Well, I guess I can flip it on back. There we go. He's gone. Take out General Kenobi. I decide to go out. Look at that. Did we just one-tap Visas Mar there? Well, I mean, we did just one-tap Visas Mar. Let's go back over here. So we get the mass assist over here on General Kenobi, and that does great damage as well. I target Visas Mar with Luke. Luke does the hit. 252,000 damage versus Visas Mar. The Attackacron does silly stuff with the CLS team. So we can use our first special right now, and that will AoE get rid of a bunch of buffs, do some really good damage, get rid of the Retribution off Maul as well as the Frenzy. Boop. Really, really solid damage there. They come back in, and I'm like, okay, well, let's just take out Maul, shall we? And that, ladies and gentlemen, is game over. Like, CLS right now is a solid, solid counter to the Stranger. At least this comp. Again, it might be because there's no Barriss in this comp. Maybe Barriss causes some issues here. She does particularly well against teams that have got multiple attacks and they're critting lots, because that's going to constantly trigger healing, and then she's going to be gaining bonus turn meter and cleansing and stuff like that. All in all, if there's no Barriss, definitely go ahead. With Barriss, I'm not sure. In the comments, if you've tested it, let me know. I was thinking about turn meter trains, and I thought, well, maybe Mon Mothma can do some stuff then. There's a lot of turn meter trains over here. So we did, Momo with Luthen, Kyle Katarn. We've got Scout in there, and I'm using Pow. We've got some decent relic levels on some of these guys, but honestly, we didn't get the opportunity to do much here. It never felt like we had that turn meter train rolling, So it looked like it had a bit of hope at the start. But it soon peters off, and as soon as Maul gets that special, it's kind of game over. So yeah, Starkiller just doing crazy good damage as well, thanks to all the buffs on our team. And there he goes. He's got his ultimate. He's going to call down the ship, and that's going to be game over for this team. It's just going to be like, bye. Next up, we go in with Old Faithful Queen Amidala using Shakti and Echo, which is a pretty standard comp for Queen Amidala. We're going in with Attackacron. Once again, Attackacrons are the way to go, guys, in almost every circumstance. Now, offensively, using Stranger versus Queen Amidala is great. Offensively, using Queen Amidala versus Stranger, also very great. Like, this was one of the easier counters in my experience. We were able to clear through this without too much issues. I think I managed to put this on airplane mode at this point, and I'm just thinking, how good is this AoE going to be from my boy Padawan Obi-Wan? We haven't used the extra special, but we get rid of GK. We significantly injure the rest of the team, and I'm feeling kind of positive about this. I'm like, oh, hold up. Are we cooking here? Are we cooking? I go after Visas because I want to make sure she can't revive anybody more than anything. Don't want to bringing back anybody at all. Calling in my boy Padawan Obi-Wan, and just look at this. It's like, I don't know why Maul only used one instance there instead of going through the whole shebang, but I don't think it would have realistically made much of a difference. We get the cleanse, we hide our Padawan Obi-Wan, get rid of Maul, and that's kind of it. At that point, you've won. That first special is probably going to one-tap the Stranger, truth be told, because we're going to attack him, hit him under that protection, and do some significant damage to him. Also boosted by the Attackacron, right? So, Queen Amidala on offense is a decent counter to the Stranger. Next up, we try Gungans with an Attackacron, because Gungans, I feel, would be able to mitigate a lot of the damage. The problem with this one is we couldn't realistically keep the taunt up long enough, and I'm not sure why that is exactly. However, it is actually quite a promising counter to this team. I do feel like there is some hope there. For some reason, Visas just wastes her first special, and that counterattack that we got from Tarpals did significant damage. So I'm like, oh, hold up. Are we looking good here? I decided to go for the direct focus on Starkiller because, as we know, he is the problem unit of the Stranger comp. Go after him, go after him, go after him. Unfortunately, they do get a bit of a cleanse. I use my special over here to make sure that Phalanx is taunting because I don't want him hitting the shield generator more than anything. Pass the turn back over to Boss Nass. It's almost always back to Boss Nass. We take out Visas Mar here and I'm like, oh, Starkiller's nearly dead. Visas Mar is gone. We got a lucky call to assist with Tarpals there so that we could get rid of the taunt. Get our shield not our shield generator, sorry, our taunt back up there with Phalanx, and I'm hoping we take out Starkiller. I'm like, okay, Starkiller is basically gone. This is huge. We still got 15 stacks on the shield generator. It feels really comfortable. We've gotten rid of Starkiller, but for some reason at this point, they just go ham on the shield generator, and it unfortunately just gets away from us. That true damage from Maul really chews through on the Phalanx, unfortunately. But I think this one has some hope. This one might be one of the rare occasions where instead of going after Starkiller, you might actually have to get rid of Maul so he can't chew you apart with all the true damage. I feel like Gungans do have some applications versus Stranger. So yeah, Stranger unfortunately doing his thing, using the triple, the second special 3 times against Jar Jar, getting the insta-kill. We nearly took out Maul as well. I feel like this is an easy cleanup, and I think maybe if we went for Maul at the start, we might have had some luck there. Next up, we decided to go a Cere Malicos. I wanted to find out, do we have some applications for Cere Malicos now that we've lost Starkiller? And it turns out this comp is actually very reliable. Once again, attacker crons, lots of armor penetration, lots of crit damage. I'm using Crew and Cal Kestis over here. And I don't think we used the rock throw just now. I think we just do the first special. We can't stun units with Starkiller on the team, so I just want to get some damage in on the board. I wanted to save that rock throw for a little bit. We know how much damage it can do, but if they've got crit hit immunity, it's kind of a waste. So anyway, we're just doing our thing, building up our stacks of madness with Malicos, getting a nice big hit over here with Fulcrum. Watch this now. Doop, doop, doop. Bye, Starkiller. And that is kind of neat. So I was like, okay, cool. Let's get some stuns in. They got no revives as well on this team, thanks to Malicos' Omicron. So that makes our life a little bit easier as well. Maul right now is stuck going after our crew. Doesn't actually manage to defeat the crew, thankfully. And our counterattacks over there just absolutely destroy the enemy. Go all in, and that's it. Game over. So turns out, Cere Malicos, decent counter to the Stranger, at least in this particular comp. Lots of armor pen, lots of crit damage is what you're looking for here, ladies and gentlemen. I don't bother finishing this off because it seems pretty clear cut to me that we're going to win from this. Next turn that we get with Malicos, or even potentially with Fulcrum over here, is probably going to spell the end for the Stranger. Good comp to know. And that's going to about do it, ladies and gentlemen, for our video today. I think the testing showed some really good findings, truth be told. A couple of really solid counters. Night Sisters, I feel, is a really cheap one. Mother Talzin Night Sister counter, I guarantee you that will work if you try to play it to actually win and not try to time out the team. Another good one is going to be Finn Zorii. If they're not using a Barris Cron, get that good Poe Datacron, the HKFDC, and you will fly through it. CLS, absolutely phenomenal. Bane with Darth Vader Cron, using that to take out the team, very reliable there. Queen Amidala, solid victories there. Cere Malicos, another easy win. So lots of teams there, lots of opportunities. Gungans is probably as well a decent counter, particularly if you go after Maul at the start. You don't want him getting that seething rage at all. So lots of teams that you can use, and none of them are GL teams. Let me know what you have tested, what you found as applicable in the comments section down below. Leave me a like as well if you could, guys, and I will see you all in the very next video. Peace out, and may the Force be with you.